I'm Colleen Flanigan. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of the Auditorium Theatre, a National Historic Landmark. And we are closed right now due to COVID-19, but we want to stay in touch with our patrons and the Chicago public. So we are doing a weekly On Talk, hashtag On Talk. It's usually a podcast, but we're doing our first video one. And we're doing our first video one with this guy, see how I pointed? I hope that worked. Rich Regan, who is our CEO of the Auditorium Theatre, my boss. So we just wanted to get to know Rich a little better. He started in October of 2019, but has a history with the Auditorium Theatre before that, which we will get to. But let's just start at the beginning. So Rich, where were you born and where did you grow up and go to school?
I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, northwest suburb called Hoffman Estates.
Sears, right? Isn't that Sears?
That's exactly right. That's where Sears Center is right now. That's where I grew up. I'm one of 6 kids and the second to the youngest, so big family. We always had a lot of fun, my younger brother and I, chasing after the older siblings in the house. But yeah, it was a great childhood in the western suburbs.
From what age to what age, youngest to oldest? Like how far apart?
So there are 11 years that separate me from my oldest sibling, and then my youngest brother is 2 years younger than me. Yeah, so about 14 years that separate us.
Got it. And where did you go to school? Both high school and college?
So I went to a small high school in Schaumburg. My younger brother and I went there. And then I went to Western Illinois University, the think tank of the Midwest. Go Leathernecks.
Leathernecks, that was it. The mascot,
right.
the Leathernecks.
That's right. Yeah, but you know, I'd always worked in theater, and you mentioned Sears Center a minute ago.
Yeah.
The site of that Sears property out there was the former Poplar Creek Music Theater, which was an outdoor amphitheater that was, I think it opened in 1980 or 81 there. And I started working there as a kid, and that's what really sparked my interest in theaters.
So did you seek out that job because it was performing arts, or did you just need a job and then it happened to be performing arts and live performance and you liked it?
You know, me and my friends, we just sort of got jobs because we thought it would be fun. And, you know, prior to that time, we really didn't know a lot about music. Music was an important part of my upbringing. You know, we always, my dad used to take us to live shows, even from my earliest memory. So I just sort of thought, hey, let's go get a job out there that might be fun. So some other, you know, kids in the neighborhood did that too, and I was the one that continued doing it all throughout high school and college, and then afterwards as well.
Did you have a job through college?
I did. I worked for the university producing shows, is what we did. So we would hire bands to come in and play on campus.
Any standout shows you remember?
Cheap Trick has to be the biggest show that we did in my time there. And actually, you know, it filled the field house. I remember the capacity at the time. I think we sold like 6,000 tickets for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was really it was the big show at the time. That was a fun show.
So you leave college and you decide to continue to pursue this as a job.
So when I graduated school, the family, the promoter family that owned Poplar Creek Music Theater, they offered me a job right when I graduated. I continued working just for a short time at Poplar Creek, but then they offered me the general manager job up at Alpine Valley Music Theater up in Wisconsin at the time. So I still lived in Chicago, but I commuted up to Alpine Valley Music Theater to run that theater. It's a big, beautiful outdoor amphitheater, 40,000 capacity in the rolling hills of the Kettle Moraine section of southern Wisconsin.
So give me a highlight there. What was a highlight?
Oh, there were so many up there, but I think the one standout has to be the Eagles tour, and it was the first time that they reunited and got back
Reunited.
together. They call it the Hell Freezes Over tour.
Because
And
they broke
that
up
was
pretty. It wasn't a nice breakup when they broke up.
it
So
wasn't a nice
that's the hell
breakup at
freezes
all.
over.
And
Yeah.
that, therein lies the irony of the name of the tour, because when they
Right.
broke up, Don Henley and everybody were so angry at each other. They said, there's no way we'll get together. The only way we get together is if hell freezes over. So that's what they named the tour, the Hell Freezes Over tour. But it was a lot of fun doing that show. That was, if I remember right, it was July 5th, 1995. So then Auditorium as general manager from 99 to 2006. So, I was very aware of what the theater scene was in Chicago at the time. And, I had heard that the general manager job at the Auditorium was open at the time. So I threw my hat in the ring and I got that job. That's how I originally came over to the Auditorium Theater, which was back in 99.
And what does a general manager do?
Well, the general manager back at that time was sort of a catch-all for all the operations in the house, and basically took care of everything besides fundraising and marketing. Basically took care of everything else. So, general operations for the theater, facility operations as well, front of house operations, technical operations for production, as well as booking the shows. That's what the general manager did at the time. So really just sort of a jack of all trades for theater.
And what was your highlight as a general manager?
That's a good question. I'll share with you sort of maybe a top 5 of highlights, because there are so many of them back with the Auditorium. We did great programming at the time, and a huge variety of programming in that, I wrote the first residency contract with the Joffrey Ballet at the time. So that was really setting up Joffrey to be the resident ballet company of the Auditorium Theatre. And that was back in 99. Alvin Ailey was a highlight at that time. First time experiencing them left a huge impression on me. So that was a highlight. We booked a lot of concerts in that time as well to fill out the balance of the schedule. And some of the highlights with respect to concerts were Tom Waits. Tom Waits was a huge standout at that time. Paul Simon was a big one at that time too. Michael Bublé. Those were a lot of fun shows. But the other thing that really stood out was the restoration work that we did at the theater. It was really transforming for the theater with respect to the natural beauty of the theater for what the patrons see, as well as the technical capabilities that the theater could provide backstage.
So then you went off to the Lyric Opera, and what did you do there?
So there I was vice president, and I was responsible for all the non-opera programming there, as well as all the physical assets and most of all the front-facing staff, so all the front of house staff, box office staff, the restaurants that we had there that we developed. So basically those were all of my responsibilities there at the time. A highlight of that time was a partnership that I put together with Second City. And with Second City, we did a programming called A Guide to the Opera, where we produced a show with Second City. Yeah, it was a ton of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And then you joined the Auditorium again in October, as I mentioned. And what brought you back to the theater?
I was asked to come and interview for the job, and the Auditorium, there's something about it, and it's kind of hard to explain. I guess the easiest way to explain it is that, leaving the Auditorium, I left sort of a piece of myself at the Auditorium. So I'd always kept my eye on it, and kept in contact with people there, and sort of watched how things developed. And I always had an interest in going back. So when I was asked to come and interview for it, it was really an easy decision for me. So I'm grateful that they offered me the position, and there's a lot that we're working on here. It's a transforming time in live performance right now, especially in the last 3 weeks or so. This is
Yeah.
the landscape is changing a little bit, and we all need to adapt to it. But even so, there's a very bright future for such an amazing place like the Auditorium Theatre, an amazing National Historic Landmark. Whatever happens, however we come out of this COVID-19 thing, the auditorium is still going to be there. It's still going to be there. It's still going to be the amazing asset that it is to not just Chicago, but the whole nation. What this theater can be in the future is something that I'm very, very excited about.
So we're stuck at home. We're obviously working very hard. Any fun things you've been doing since our shelter in place started 2 weeks ago?
That's a great question because so Amy and I have 3 kids, 2 in college, 1 in high school. So they're all working, doing their classwork online right now.
They all came home.
They all came home. They're all under the roof. That's why I'm hiding in a room upstairs right now. But we're doing different things. We're trying to reintroduce the kids to other games and get them to play backgammon again and play cards with us and all that kind of thing. But we're also sort of hunkering down from, as I'm sure everybody is, with a good Netflix series or with a live streaming movie or something like that. My older son introduced me to Tiger King the other day, and he said, "You're not going to believe this show that's on TV right now, Dad. It's called Tiger King. These people are crazy. You got to watch it." So we watched a few minutes of it the other day, and it's actually quite. I've got to sit down and watch the rest of it.
So what do you like to do when you're not working?
When we work, we're working inside. So I'm an outdoors person. So whenever I'm not working, I like to be outdoors as much as possible. Whether it's just as simple as out in the yard. Amy and I like to garden as much as possible. I like to get in a good bike ride or a good hike, pretty much anything. We love to be outside.
You're a music fan. I know you're a music fan. So we have if you were on a deserted island, what would be the 5 albums that you would take with you?
That's a tough one. But I'm going to go ahead and answer it. And
just do it.
That's
do
right.
it. It's not going to happen, so you can take it back.
We don't know
you
if that's not going to happen.
That's true.
Colleen,
that's true.
Right?
We're all going to have to go on little islands.
That's right. It's so my survival kit would include Nirvana, Nevermind.
Yes.
It would include Marvin Gaye, What's Going On.
Oh, that's a good one.
I'm a big fan of Wilco. Wilco's a Chicago band, and I could have easily filled this list with 5 Wilco albums, but I had to narrow it down for variety.
Which one?
It's going to
Which
be
Wilco
Yankee
album?
Hotel Foxtrot. I was between A Ghost Is Born, Yankee Hotel, AM. I love AM too, but Yankee Hotel Foxtrot because it encapsulated a period for me. That's really what it does.
Yeah.
Yankee Hotel Foxtrot is pretty much a period. I like Jason Isbell a lot. It's hard for me to pick an album. I like something more than Free. And you know what? I'm an older guy, right? I'm in my 50s, so I got to throw in some Pink Floyd there too.
I think it's the law.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the law. At a certain age, you have to say Pink Floyd, or I believe Led Zeppelin can be substituted in there as well. So what about other, you talked about dance and how much Ailey, transformed your idea of dance. What about plays or musicals or other dance companies or performances?
So the promoter that I worked for, that I really started working for, they're theatrical producers and presenters as well. So I got to see a lot of stuff from 92 through now. But there's a handful of musicals that really stand out. Like the pre-Broadway runs for Spamalot were a lot.
Oh yeah, they were here.
That's right. The pre-Broadway run for producers was really
Producers, yeah.
impressionable as well. I love that. Some of the other shows that, might do the 1 or 2 week runs too. And one of them that really sticks out in my mind, it was called Catskills on Broadway. Um, and it was a simple show. It was essentially a small black box, but it was a bunch of older comedians, and it still sticks out in my mind as probably one of the funniest shows I've ever seen. Those are the ones that really stick out in my mind. But I do appreciate a great live theater and great musical, whatever the genre.
Yeah.
Live performance. There's nothing that replaces it. And even today, when the last few weeks, all of our recent experiences, seeing things on TV or on live streaming or recording, what it's doing for me is it's making me yearn for that live performance again.
Yeah,
So
I can't wait.
We're going to get back to that soon enough.
So final question for you, and you talked about it a little bit, but one of the things we've done, this is our 130th anniversary, and we've done a couple events, and now we're doing things online. But we're asking, not just Chicagoans, like you said, like everybody in the world, the whole public, what their favorite auditorium theater memory is. What would be your favorite memory of the theater?
Can I give you two of them?
Yeah.
So
it's extra, but we'll allow it.
I would say the Wilco Yankee Hotel Foxtrot tour that we hosted, those performances were fantastic.
Yeah.
And then my other just most impressionable memory is during the restoration, when we had the entire theater scaffolded out so we could work on the arches and on the proscenium mural. I got to be up there next to the arches and right up to the proscenium mural.
Wow.
During that time while they were preserving it. And I remember standing up there right in the center, standing right next to the mural, thinking the last time somebody was up here was when the muralist was painting it.
Painting it.
I
Wow.
get to stand up here next to it. So those probably have to be my two best memories from my last stint at the Auditorium.
Those are good ones.
Aren't they
and
good?
Now there's more memories to create, which
That's right.
we will again soon. So thank you, Rich, for doing this, and thanks everyone for watching and listening. And we're going to be here every Wednesday at noon Central Time. And we're also doing a live performance series called At Home with Auditorium. It's going to be two hot soloists, Rod Dixon and Alfreda Burke, they're incredible singers. They do everything from Broadway to opera to all of it. And that'll be this Sunday at 6 o'clock Central. So thank you again, Rich, and thanks everybody. And stay safe, stay home. Bye.
Bye.